this is your instructor Megan, and in this video I'm going to talk about homepage design techniques. You have several readings this week about homepage design. Some are more broad, such as the Scott reading, which talks about how homepage design can drive action, and some are much more specific, such as the Nielsen reading, which gives 10 suggestions for homepage design. So what I want to do in this video is not necessarily explain everything in those readings, but try to offer examples of the important elements of those readings so that you can see a lot of homepages before you start designing your own, and you can get a sense of how they're laid out and why they're laid out that way. So let's take a look. In this lesson, I'm going to start by talking about visual design, which is going to include modular design and homepage elements, and then visual personality and connotation, which I'm not going to go into great depth on because you've already learned about visual connotation in another lecture. And then I'm going to move on to the content design of the homepage and talk about 4 strategies for your homepage: making the purpose clear, helping users find what they need, revealing site content, and then using visuals to enhance interactions. So as I go through this lecture, I want you to always remember that there are different types of sites, and those sites have different purposes. So I'm going to look at a lot of product-based sites, sites that are trying to market or sell a product or a company. So that's why this is bolded here in our list: marketing sites for selling. And this doesn't necessarily mean just for selling products. We're going to look at a website from a nonprofit that is trying to adopt animals out. But these are, sites that are meant to get people to buy into something, to hire you, to give you money, to buy something from you. There's other kinds of sites. There's tool sites for doing things, and Dropbox.com is a good example. If you go to Dropbox.com, the homepage is really, there's nothing to it. It's like a drawing and a sign up button. And it is that way because you're using Dropbox to do something. It's a tool. So when you go to the homepage, you never go to the homepage, really. I'm sure some of you have Dropbox.com, and I'll bet you pretty much never do anything on the homepage other than sign in. Social sites for connecting and sharing. So these are sites like Facebook and Flickr. Their homepages are a lot different than the ones we're going to look at. And then journalistic sites for news, also their homepage is going to be a lot different than the ones we're looking at today, because their purpose isn't to promote an idea or a product or drive some kind of action. It's to provide news. So their homepages are much different from what we're going to look at. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. The sites we're looking at today are marketing sites for selling something, whether it's selling a product or selling an idea or promoting an idea or campaigning for something or trying to get clients. The sites we're looking at today are specifically set out to get people to agree to become involved with something, which is different than, say, a news site like CNN. The homepage there is going to be much different. So as I talk about homepage design, just keep in mind that I specifically mean in marketing sites for selling. So let's look at the homepage elements. Most websites will have the same elements, and they'll be in the same order. So across the top of every single webpage, sometimes it's along the side, but almost always across the top, is what's called the header. And in the header, there's 2 important elements: the logo and the navigation. So the logo is almost always at the top left, and then the navigation is at the top, either under the logo or to the side of the logo. And the navigation is what you may know also as the menu bar. And in WordPress, you create this in the menus section. Menu, navigation, that's the same thing. These are just the buttons you press to get from page to page. Underneath that, you typically have what's called a slider, although it is sometimes referred to as a carousel. And this slider the name comes from the idea that it's often a slideshow where more than one element sort of slides in and out, but that's not always the case. Sometimes the slider area is just a single picture. It doesn't actually slide. The example on the right is the website of Christian Anderson and Associates, which is a design and development firm in Indianapolis, and you can see that they don't really have a slider. They just have a large image at the top with a slogan on it and a link to view their work. On the left, this is the homepage of Exact Target, which is also located in Indianapolis. A few Ball State PR grads work there. And you'll see they do actually have a slider. This is their slider right here. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 slides, and you can click these buttons here to change between the slides. Underneath that is typically a tagline. Sometimes the tagline is part of the slider, sometimes it's above the slider, but typically there's an important tagline up near the top of the page. Underneath that, a lot of times for marketing and promotional sites, there's some kind of explainer. So on the left for Exact Target, they have a paragraph about Exact Target. On the right for KA+A, Design for Experience, there's a paragraph about what they do there. So you have an explainer. And then under that you have featured content. And we'll talk about modules. Featured content is typically content from elsewhere on the site that you're trying to draw attention to on the homepage. And these vary for every website. The featured content is where you're really going to have to decide what you want to put in there. So you're pretty much, you know you need a navigation and logo, you know you're going to have a slider, you know you're going to have a tagline, you probably will have an explainer. Featured content, you have to figure out what that content is. So we'll talk about modules, and I'll talk about how you decide on the featured content for that area. And you can see on the right, KA+8 just has one featured content section, and it's blog posts. Exact Target on the left has 3 featured content sections, a list of tweets, recommendations for their blog, and customer success stories. And then at the bottom of these pages, we have, let me scroll up. We have what's called a footer. And the footer typically just has simple information about the company, contact information, sometimes more links. We'll take a look at the footer as well. One thing I want you to notice while we're here, this little line that says NB nota bene, which means, you know, good note in Latin, no blank spaces. If you look at these home pages, there's no empty white spaces that just look like anything's missing. If you look at Exact Target, you'll see we have the slider, then we have a video, then the explainer, then the tweets, then content recommendations. There's no sort of empty space here. Customer success stories, if they only had 2 right here and this area right here was blank, it would look like something was missing. So I want you to keep that in mind, because as you work on your homepage, you want to make sure you don't have missing space. You don't have big empty white spaces where it kind of looks like something might go, but nothing's there. This entire page is filled out. There's content from left to right all the way down the page. So let's talk about those homepage modules. The slider, a carousel, is always at the top underneath the navigation. The footer is always at the bottom, hence the name footer, like it's the feet. And between them, you're going to create whatever modules you deem appropriate for your audience. Now with WordPress, you're probably limited on modules. So I want to take a little side exploration into WordPress, because you don't get to just come up with whatever modules you want. Your WordPress theme is going to have a certain set of modules. So if you think back to the tutorial that you did when you worked on the portfolio tutorial, your front page had your slider, mini features, portfolio, and then testimonials that you could turn on and off. So that theme came with 3 modules for the featured content area. So I want to talk about how you're limited on those, but also what you can do when you are limited. So what I want to do is take a look at this theme called Peddler and sort of talk you through my thought process here. If I'm a designer and I want to think about using this theme. Okay, there we go. So I'm a designer and I'm thinking to myself, wow, you know, this theme looks nice. What can I do with it? Here's what you want to do when you're looking for a theme. You know you're going to have a navigation bar, you know you're going to have a slider. So just take a look at them, make sure they kind of look how you want them to. So I'm looking, here's my navigation, here's my logo goes. I've got 2 navigation bars, so I could put one here and one here. I've got this slider area that looks nice. I can have a nice tagline and then a button. So far so good. But then I get to this module, and you can see that this module has its own colored background, and it's called Recent Products. Well, I don't want products. So do I need to give up on this theme? Well, I don't, because if you think back to simplicity that you worked with for your portfolio, you can turn these modules on and off in WordPress. So if you're looking at themes and you're thinking to yourself, you know, I like this, so far so good, and you scroll down and you see Recent Products, don't panic, because you can turn this module off. Or you could turn it into something else. So if this were a site for an animal adoption agency, for example, instead of calling this recent products, I would call it adoptable dogs, and I would put 4 pictures of dogs here. So you don't have to have the module, and you don't have to use the module for what it's supposed to be used for. So if you can think of 4 things that would be better here instead of products, you can keep this module on and just turn it into something else. And then here we have another module. You can tell it's another content area because it's got a gray background and it's got 3 little explainers. So I can think to myself, you know, what could I put here? Could I maybe put 3 features of my company, or maybe 3 testimonials, or maybe 3 bios of people who work for my company? And then we start to get into the blog. So we see that there's blog posts. And if I want to have blog posts, then that's great. If not, I could turn this module off. Under that, we have a module that's called a promotional banner. I can make this a promotional banner, or I could choose to make it something different. So maybe I have an event that's coming up, and instead of a promotional banner, I want to make a promotional event thing. So here I could write about my event, and then here, instead of call to action button, it would say something like get tickets. Or I could just turn this module off. Now we have another module, which is 2 testimonials. Again, you could turn this off if you don't want testimonials, or you could imagine it as something else. So maybe instead of testimonials, you made it bios of people who work there. Or maybe instead of that, you made this, 2 products that you want to feature. I mean, you can change the modules here is what I'm trying to get at, that you can change these. You can turn these modules on and off, depending on whether or not you want them, or you can use them for your own thing. Instead of doing exactly what the demo shows you, you can make it your own. So instead of recent products, I could put adoptable dogs. Instead of these 3 features, I could put 3 services that my shelter provides, like spay and neuter, volunteering, foster homes. I could have a blog if I want it. If not, I can turn it off. I could put an event here. Maybe I have like the Mutt Struts coming up and I want to explain that here. And then here, instead of testimonials, maybe I could show 2 dogs that were adopted and show their little stories about who adopted them and how they're doing. So you are limited in these featured modules on the homepage as you look at WordPress themes, but keep in mind you can turn them on or off, or you can change them into something else. Get creative here. If you see testimonials and you don't want it to be testimonials, could you turn it into something else? Could you turn it into quotes that inspire your organization? Could you turn it into bio boxes? Visual personality and connotation. For your website, you want to keep it simple. Typically, with websites, the personality and connotation are shown with the images and then the color and font choice. You don't need to try to cram a lot of personality into these sites. A little bit goes a long way. One thing I'd like to note is that you'll probably have to custom design a slider image, not just throw a photo there. And we'll take a look at an example. For your design, you are required to custom design a slider image, not just put a picture there. And then make sure that you, again, get creative. You can use photo spaces for photos, but you could also design things to put there. So let's take a look at an example. So let's look at the color and font choice. These websites all have a gray or white background, and that's totally fine. You don't need to get crazy with the background. The font choices are very simple. KA+A, there's only 2 fonts there. The display font and the body copy. Same here for Exact Target. We have the display font and then the body copy. Oops. Over here, Blast Media, I think the same. Display font and then body copy. So you're going to use those same techniques you used from the newsletter as far as typography and color for your website. You want to keep the hierarchy. You want to have a display type and a body copy. Now, these are all screenshots I've taken on my computer, and Blast Media didn't come out very well in the screenshots. Their font looks really funky here, like the letters are too big. That's something that my computer has done. That's not how that actually looks. You can go to Blast Media if you want to see how it actually looks. But you can see that visual personality and connotation is shown very simply here. KA+A, green and blue. Exact Target, orange and blue. Blast Media, blue. They're keeping it real simple with the color, real simple with the typography. You can see here the slider image, exact target. They didn't just put a picture there, they actually designed a little image to go there. So they designed that. KA plus A, the same. It's not just a picture, they've designed it. They've taken a picture and they put font on top of it, and they put a little icon and a little view our work button. So as you think about your homepage, you're gonna have to do this. You're gonna have to, if you wanna use a photo, that's fine, but you'll need to do something else to it, like put some type on it, or you'll need to design your own slider image. And then keep in mind too, you can design other elements. So Glass Media is a good example. Where these circles are, they could have just put pictures, but think about how hard it would be to find a picture that expresses social media, or a picture that expresses paid media, or a picture that expresses creative services. So they've made icons and they've designed these little images instead of trying to create pictures that express those ideas. Okay, so we talked about the visual design, and you want to keep going with those design elements and principles as well. You know, you want to have hierarchy, you want to have balance, you want to have harmony. You know how to do all of that now that you've gone through the newsletter experience. So just apply those same things you learned from the newsletter to your website in addition to some of the things I just talked about. But let's move on to the content design. What exactly are you going to put on your homepage? What does your homepage need to accomplish beyond just looking like a pretty design? Well, there's 4 things you want to do. Make the purpose of the site clear, help users find what they need, reveal site content, and use visual design to enhance the interaction design. And interaction design just means how well the home page is designed for people to use it so they can accomplish what they want to accomplish. So let's start by making the purpose clear. What does that mean? Well, Nielsen suggests 3 strategies for making the purpose clear. First, include a 1-sentence tagline near the top. Create a search engine friendly window title. Group all corporate information. So we're going to look at these one by one. First, 1-sentence tagline. I'm going to show you a bunch of examples. Take a look real quick and tell me what the 1-sentence tagline is. I've highlighted them here. These taglines need to explain what the site is about. So on the left, Librario, make ebooks. Really simple, right from Google Drive. Okay, make ebooks. That tells me everything I need to know about what Librario is. BHG commercial investments, invest with confidence. Okay, clearly it's investments. Let's look at these 2. What are our taglines? Well, they're those big pieces of type. On the left, a marketing and brand creation company. Perfect. I know exactly what these people do. On the right, adopt a pet today. Find your perfect companion at the Red Deer and District SPCA. Okay, obviously, the left is a marketing and brand company. The right is pet adoption. We've got some more strong taglines here. We believe that digital platforms should inspire action and improve the world. Okay, they clearly design for digital platforms. On the right, we bake newsletters. Okay, they're going to help me make a newsletter. So you want those one-line taglines to explain your company, to sum your company up, and explain the brand benefit. So we bake newsletters. If that just said we make newsletters, that's kind of boring, but we bake newsletters. You know, baking is a science and it's difficult and it involves putting lots of different ingredients together to come up with something great. So the word bake does actually give a connotation here that is helpful for this company. 2, SEO-friendly titles, search engine optimization. When Google indexes sites, so as Google's crawling the web, looking at all the sites out there and trying to figure out what they are, it pays a lot of attention to the site title. And in WordPress, this is under General Settings, Site Title. So you want to make sure that in that site title, you put the name of the company and any keywords people will search for on Google. So the example above, General Settings, is for my public relations portfolio. So I put my name because that's what people are going to look for. If I send a resume somewhere, my name's on it, they're going to Google my name. And then public relations portfolio, that way if there's lots of Megan McNameses out there and someone is kind of like, well, maybe I just want the Megan McNames in public relations, they might Google public relations or they might Google Megan McName's portfolio. They're going to be more likely to get this as a return. Underneath that, you can see I took a screenshot of some of the site titles of sites we've been looking at in this lecture. Here's a great one, Edinburgh Zoo, that tells you exactly what it is. Liberio make ebooks. They put their tagline up in the site title. Catfishing specialists. Okay, that's a site for buying stuff for catfishing. HTML email template code. Okay, that's an email template site that you can use. SPCA, Red Deer and District, has the name of the place. So you want to get any kind of important information. The name of the company, maybe some keywords about what they do, or if location is important, like Edinburgh Zoo, you want to get that location in there, right in that site title. 3, group corporate information. So this is typically done in the footer. This is the footer of that SPCA site, and you can see they have a quick about us. They have information on supporting them, information for visitors who might be looking for something, and then their contact information is all grouped over here on the right. So if you want to know how to contact them, everything you could possibly want to know about contacting them is over here on the right. Here's another example from a footer. Corporate information about company and community. So all the company information is together. The contact information is over here on the right. Another example, the last example of grouping corporate information, this is from a zoo website. You can see they have their social media together, and then more information about the zoo and its history is available in this group, careers, and then contact all together. Okay, the next thing you want to do is help users find what they need. And what you want to do here is come up with 1 to 4 main tasks and ask yourself, what are people really trying to do? This is going to be different for every organization. If you are the SPCA site, people want to adopt a pet. If you are a zoo site, people want to visit. If you are an investment site, people want to invest their money. So typically, people are looking to get information about something, get contact information, complete a task like buy something or donate or sign up or hire a company. They're wanting to solve a problem or buy a product. You also want to include a search bar. So let's look at this first one. Come up with 1 to 4 main tasks. Well, here's that SPCA site. What are the kinds of things people want to go to this site to do? Well, the biggest thing is to find a pet to adopt. When's the last time you went to an SPCA site? And what did you want to do? It was probably find a pet to adopt. That's probably the most important thing that people go there for. People might also want to donate. People might want to get shelter information, and people might want to report a lost or found pet. These are kind of the 4 main things you're going to do with this site. There may be other things that you can do on this site, like talk to other people who've adopted, but not that many people want to do it. These are the 4 things that almost everybody coming to the site wants to be able to do. So you can see this homepage makes it very simple. If you want to find a pet to adopt, here's 5 right away. And you can click a big giant button to go see more. If you want to donate, here's a little ad for donate with a button that you can click and donate. Get shelter information, it's all here at the bottom. If you have a lost or found pet, here's a little section for it, and you'll see there's a link. You just click the link and you can report that lost or found pet. So you want to make sure that your homepage is giving people a really easy time, a really easy way to do what they came to do. Let's look at a few more examples. This is a catfishing site that sells gear for catfishers. So what do people want to do? Well, they're trying to buy catfishing gear. So up here at the top, really, really big, the slider is all about shopping, and there's a big button that says shop above it. You can click and start shopping. And then the rest of the homepage pretty much is different gear that you can buy. So different things that you can look at while you're shopping. What else might you want to do on the site? Well, you don't want to just buy things, you want to get good deals. So they have an ad down here for deals. That's pretty much the 2 things you're going to do here. No one thinks to themselves like, hey, I really wonder what kind of payment information catfish suppliers take. No, people want to shop. That's why they're here. So the homepage is completely about shopping. Here's an example of a company that it's a branding marketing company. And if you are wanting to hire a design firm like this, or like your client, what do you want to know? Well, you want to know, does this group do what I want them to do? And is this group any good at it? And then how do I contact them for more information? So this site is great because it answers all those tasks. It answers all those questions. You can immediately see what they do. They have a tagline and an explanation, and then they have work samples. You can also see if they're any good. They have work samples right here. You can just click one to see an example of what they've made in the past. You also can see one of their employees and click on his name to learn more about him to see if he's any good. And then at the bottom, of course, you can contact them right from the homepage. So the homepage should facilitate these tasks. Think about what people need to be able to do for your client. You know, when they go to your client site, what do they want right away? What do they want to know, or what do they want to do? You've got to deliver that on your homepage. Third, you want to reveal site content. So show examples of real site content. This is what you're going to do for those featured areas. And here, I'll go back. So here under the explainer, you have the featured content. And I said that, you know, you have to figure out how many modules you want to put here and what they are. Well, featured content is really just information from other parts of the site. So here, KA+A, it's just posts from their blog. Here on Exact Target, it's just tweets from their Twitter page, posts from their blog, and success stories from their success stories page. So let's look at those in a little more detail. You're going to show examples of real site content and then begin link names with the most important keywords. Let's look at site content first. What you want to do in these modules, these featured content modules, really is tease content from your other pages. If you have a blog, which your site is required to have one, you want to show some of that great blog content on the homepage. Otherwise, people might not even know you have a blog. One type of content for each module is standard. So think about what modules you want. Maybe you have a teaser for your blog where you show a couple pieces of blog content. Maybe you have another module that shows some of your employees from another page. So let's look at this example. On the left, we have the SPCA. You can see they have a button for events up here in their navigation, but they also put their events on their homepage. They have a button for their pet adoptions at the top, but they also put adoptable animals on their homepage. They have an about page at the top, but they also put about page on their information on their homepage. Over here at the shopping site where people can buy catfishing equipment, you'll see that there is a button for shop, but you can also shop right from the homepage. So show real content from other pages on your homepage, but just a little preview. Here's that KA+A. They have a whole page about them, but they also have a little bit about them on the homepage. They have an entire page for their blog, but they also have some of their blog content here on the homepage. They have some of their work on another page, but they also have a link to their work on the homepage in the slider. Let's look at the University of Chicago. This is an example we haven't seen yet, but they do the same thing. They take real site content from inside their website, from not the homepage, and then they put some on the homepage just to tease you and let you know what their site is about. So you can see they have a link to news here, but they also put news on their homepage to show that, hey, they care about news and they have a lot of it. They have a link to their events up here in the navigation bar, but they also show their events on their homepage to show that they have a lot going on and that they're an exciting place to go to school. They have features of their programs. They have a link to that here at the top, but they also pull out some of those features and put it on their homepage to show how prestigious their school is and what great amenities they have. You want to begin link names with keywords. So people read left to right. You read about this when you read about writing for the web, and often they only read the first words of links. So on the left is the original page, and on the right I've deleted everything but the first word of all the links. So here, pet adoption becomes pet, children's programs becomes children, stories to share becomes stories, community outreach becomes community, adopt a pet today becomes adopt. And what I'm trying to show here is that even if you only read the first word of each navigation label or link, you still understand what it is. This pet clearly goes to animals. Community clearly has something to do with the community. Stories are clearly stories. Children's is clearly where you would click if you had kids. Let's look at another example. This is an investment site. This is the original page, and here I've deleted the second word of all the links. So here we have a button that says learn more. Even if you only read learn, you understand that that button is going to take you to more information. Down here we have a button that says invest with us, but even if you only read invest, you still understand that that button is going to take you to a place where you can invest. So you want to put the most important word first. Use visual design to enhance. This is the fourth thing that you want to do. Don't over-design, use meaningful graphics, and use pops of color to draw attention. So don't over-design. No crazy background images. I see this a lot with people who are first beginning web design, is they immediately want to put a picture in the background to spice the page up a little bit. You don't want to spice the page up a little bit. It's too much. Background images are too distracting. Over here on the left, this page looks a mess. The background image is insane. It's got too many colors going on. It draws too much attention, and in order to be able to read anything over the background image, they have to put all these ugly boxes everywhere. You want to select a couple meaningful photos. Over on the left, these pictures pretty much all look the same. There's no reason to have all of them. Those 4 photos down the right side, they look like almost the same picture. I don't understand why they're there. It's too much to look at. I'm not having my eye focused on anything. You want to stick to a couple typefaces, just like you did with your newsletter design, and you want to limit your navigation bar to 7 to 10 items. If you look at the navigation bar on this site to the left, it is way too long. I would never read all of that. I do not have time. I would get to the site and I would say, don't care, and leave, because I cannot possibly sit and read all of these things. Use meaningful graphics, and you read about information carrying photos previously, so you know the difference between a stock photo and a photo that carries information. Your homepage must be committed to carrying only information carrying photos. You also want to use high quality, and the example on the left, it's a catfishing website and there's a guy with a catfish. It's immediately clear, even without reading anything, whether or not this site is for me. I don't catfish, so I see this and I go, you know what, not for me. But if I was into catfishing and I saw this, I would see this and I would think to myself, yes, that's me, these are my people. High quality photos. Low quality graphics are actually one of the biggest detriments to site credibility. If you have fuzzy, grainy, or junk photos on your site, photos that are poorly lit, photos that are not photographed well, photos that have been stretched, photos that are pixelated, this is a huge detriment to the credibility of your site, and people will not want to be involved with you or your site. So your photos need to be information carrying, and they need to be of high quality. I want to go over a couple other considerations. There's 3 main ones: the fold, the 5-second usability test, and developing site personalities. Let's talk about the fold. Remember that people will see only the top of the homepage first, and then they have to scroll to see the rest. The top must therefore show what the organization does and connect with the audience right away. So these are 3 examples of what you see when you go to these sites. It's immediately clear what all of these do. Liberio, there's a picture of an iPad, and it says make ebooks. I clearly understand what that is. It even says write, design, publish for free. The middle one, invest with confidence, statement to investors, and then fancy looking numbers. This is clearly a business-oriented site for investors. On the right, cat magnet, shop, guy with a catfish, apparel, beer koozies. Clearly, this is a fisherman's site. So you want to make sure that all the important stuff is at the top of the page. Don't rely on people scrolling down. Here's a couple other examples: adoptions, design, and exact target. Email marketing, digital marketing. It's pretty clear what these are, even with just looking at the top of the sites. Let's talk about the 5-second usability test. This is a strategy that you read about this week. Usability just refers to how easy a site is to use. Can people use it? Do they understand it? Is it easy for them to get on and do things with? So we want to do a 5-second usability test in this class. You want to take your design and show it to someone for 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, close the window and then just ask the person what they remember. Someone should be able to remember who the company was, what they do, what and who the site is for. So I'm going to show you a site for 5 seconds. Do you remember who that company was? Do you know what they do? And do you know who and what the site is for? If you do, then this site has done a good job of designing the homepage above the fold. If you cannot remember those after 5 seconds, this site needs work. Lastly, you want to develop a site personality, and you do this in the visuals and the voice and language that you use. You learned about this in an earlier lesson when you learned about visual connotation. But what I'm getting at here is that the visitor needs to see on the homepage a reflection of him or herself. So this site is for kids. It looks like it's for kids. It's got bright colors. It's got pastel colors. It's got a smiling kid on it. It's got a bright pink button. It's got this cutesy kid font. This is clearly for kids. Your site needs to do the same thing. When someone looks at the site, they need to say, yes, that is me. These people get me. If I'm a catfisher, this site to me looks like my site. If I have children who are in the hospital, this site looks to me like this is for me. So you need to instill that in your homepage with your visuals and your voice. And I want to show you an example that I think illustrates this site personality. On the left is the official iu.edu site, and on the right is an offshoot site called weareiu.com. They're different. They use the same colors, but the personality here is much different. What is the personality of the left? Take a second to think about what that personality is. And then think about the personality on the right. What are the differences? Well, on the left, this is the official IU site. They want to look like a very good college. They want to look like they're smart, they're professional, they're making good graduates. They have lots of money to spend on you while you're there. They have good facilities, they have good amenities. They want to look serious and businesslike and professional. And they do that on the left with lots of boxy design, with all cap letters that are sans serif, which looks very modern and hip, but professional. They have red, which is their school color. They have a plain background. They have sort of harmonious colors. They've got cream and light blue. Everything here is very businesslike and professional. It's not super fun, but it's not really boring. I mean, there is kind of an excitement about it with the color. On the right, this is a site they use to employ content strategies. So this site on the right is actually a great site. I suggest you all go to weareiu.com. It's a great example of content strategy. This is a site that is meant to answer incoming students' problems. So this site is about recruiting. They're trying to get high school kids to come to IU. Well, what are high school kids worried about? They're worried about graduating high school. They're worried about finding the right college. They're worried about having fun in college. So this site is all about that. If you look at that featured blog post, the summer before senior year, that is a title that speaks to someone in high school. They think, yeah, I'm going to do my senior year, or I'm finishing my senior year. This is something I know. This is something I'm interested in. This site on the right is much more fun. We have this big slab serif type. We have this handwritten looking type. It looks like a young woman wrote it. We've got these fun ribbons. We've got, it's hard to tell on here, but there's sort of a striped background. We've got this cool board that looks like it's from a sporting event. This is a lot more fun on the right. We have fun typefaces. We have fun ribbons. We have a fun background. We have a neat little sporty thing. On the right, you don't have that. So the personality of the site on the left, I'm sorry, on the left you don't have that. The personality of the site on the left is one that is serious, one that is bold, one that is smart, one that is professional. The one on the right is fun, it's exciting, it's modern, it's hip, it's cool. This is a place you want to go to school. You don't. You go to Ball State, and that's good. You should be here. But this is what they're saying with their site, which is why it's such a good site. They're saying, you know, we get you. We're young. We're cool. We're hip. We know who you are. We know what's up with cool design. You know, you don't have that on the left. So make sure you develop a site personality. Use those typefaces. Use those colors. Use those little flourishes like ribbons or icons to get a personality out. Think about what your personality needs to be. Is it fun and flirty like the one on the right, or is it professional and modern like the one on the left? So lots of stuff for you to think about as you work on your homepage design. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to send them my way. You're going to have a design due shortly, and then you'll have a group meeting to talk about your design. But make sure that you're sort of going through everything from this week and asking yourself if your site really does that. And I'm going to put up the four content design elements. Are you making the purpose clear right away? Within 5 seconds, can someone understand what your homepage is for? Are you helping users find what they need? If your client is a design and development firm, they want people to hire them, right? So do you need a big button that says hire us? Do you need a big button that says we'll work for you? How are people going to find what they need? Reveal site content. Show some of your blog on the front page. Show some of your people on the front page. And then use visuals to set a personality and to enhance helping users find what they need, revealing site content, and making the purpose clear. I look forward to seeing your homepages in our group meetings. I can't wait to take a look.